Hello and welcome to this episode of the Bucket List Gamers DLC. I am Jay, and as always, I'm joined by Eddie.
Hello.
Last year, on our first birthday, we did a AMA where we answered questions from our listeners. Now we're a bit past our second birthday because it was in April and we're recording this in August, so we completely forgot. Stroke didn't have time to do it this year, as we have been running out of time for most things this year. But we are trying to get back on track. So I thought, good time to do an AMA. We haven't got many other things to talk about at the minute. I mean, there's Nintendo stuff which we could cover, but I'm a bit exhausted from it all, to be honest, and I'd rather just do something a bit fun. So we're going to call it a Q&A as well, because the day of the AMA, I think, has died, and it didn't make sense anyway because there's two of us, so it wasn't ask me anything. It should have been ask us anything. What we're going to do is we're going to go through some questions that we've had sent in from listeners, from some of our Patreons have sent in some questions as well. So Let's dive straight in with... We'll go with this one to start with. So this is from our good friend Trevor at Birdworks.
Okay.
AKA Doches, one of our patrons as well. So double duty from Trevor. And this one is specifically for you. This one.
Ooh, okay.
And you'll understand why it's specifically for you once I've read it out. So Eddie, what game have you sunk a lot of time into that looking back you wish you'd never started? So he said the reason it was only for you is because he knows my answer is going to be Animal Crossing and there's no point even asking me. This one is completely posed to you.
Okay. One of the games that I've sunk a lot of time into that I really wish I hadn't was Dark Souls 2. Because I was... Yeah.
I thought I knew what you were going to say and it wasn't that.
Okay, what did you think I was going to say?
I thought you were going to say Pokemon Go.
Yeah, I mean, there is that, but I don't currently regret that. Ask me in 10 years when Pokemon Go has died and all the money that I've sunk into it now means f*** all because I can't even access the server that my Pokemon sit on, then I'll probably regret it. But yeah, Dark Souls 2, I was riding high off because I was very disjointed in how I did my Dark Souls journey. So I did Dark Souls 1, didn't like it, didn't get on with it at all when it came out for the 360. I was told this is a game that you need to go try and play. This is for hardcore gamers. I considered myself a hardcore gamer. Played the first hour, died quite a bit and went, nah, f*** this. Stopped playing it. I then bought Bloodborne, and I really got into Bloodborne, and it's my favourite one in the series. Really, really enjoyed it. Then Dark Souls 3 came out, and I really enjoyed Dark Souls 3. And I was like, do you know what? They announced the remaster of Dark Souls 1. So I was like, lovely, fantastic. I need to go back and play that because it's the progenitor, because we don't discuss Demon Souls anymore up until the remaster back on the PS5 when that first came out. Didn't really want to try Demon Souls because I knew it was sort of like the beta for everything. So it was a bit janky. The control, they were working out the controls, and it was notoriously difficult because most of it was shit. So I was like, go back, play Dark Souls 1. Played the remaster, thoroughly enjoyed that. And then I was like, well, they did a couple of years before that do a remaster, and it was very loosely a remaster of Dark Souls 2. So I was like, well, I've enjoyed every other game so far. Need to go and retry Dark Souls 2. And I put hours into that game, and it was not anywhere near to the amount of hours I've put into stuff like Ocarina or Breath of the Wild, anything like that. But I sank a lot of hours into it. And looking back now, I think it was out of obligation more than anything. I was telling myself I had to do this. As a Dark Souls fan, I had to enjoy this game. But looking back now, I was not getting any enjoyment out of it. The bosses were boring. Every single boss fight was against a dude in armor. And that was it. It was just a fucking dude in armor. Oh, look, a dragon. Another dude in armor. More dudes in armor. Oh, look, this room has 5 dudes in armor in it. And this combat is not really designed for 4-on-1 tactics. I am dodge rolling into attacks that are coming in at me. So, yeah, I put a lot of time into it. And I genuinely wish that when the first creeping dread of this is not as good as Dark Souls 1 or 3 or Bloodborne, just go back and play the Bloodborne DLC. I wish I'd just listened to myself because I got no enjoyment out of it. I plugged through out of a grim determination to convince myself that it was a good game. A lot of people don't particularly rate it as a good Dark Souls game, so I think that's probably the one that gives me the most regret, really.
See, he said that I could weigh in if it was something other than Animal Crossing. I think it is Animal Crossing. I think that's got to be number one. I did nearly buy the Switch one the other day because I saw it on sale, and I was like, "No, what the fuck am I doing? Why would I want to do this?"
Stockholm
I
Syndrome.
was like, "It can't get any better, surely." But I saw a couple of my friends were
like-
posting about trading stuff on Facebook, and then I saw it really cheap, and I was like, "Maybe it's got better." And then I talked myself
It's
immediately
like an
out of it.
abuse victim. Maybe he won't beat me this time.
It really was, and I was like, "Oh, I could go to my friends and I could get some apples." And I was like, "No, why? Why do I want to do that? There's no reason I want to do that." So I didn't, thankfully. So it is probably that. He's not going to like my other answer, which is Breath of the Wild.
Fair.
But I will clarify it with the point that I put a lot of time into that game to not get very far. And now I can't go back into that save file because I haven't got a fucking clue what I'm doing with it. So if I want to play it again, I need to restart it. So that is the caveat. I feel like I've wasted a lot of time on it because I can't use that time now. I'm going to have to do that time again
Yeah.
and probably not learn anything from it. So that. And then the third one, really out of left field. Do you remember a DS game called Hotel Dusk Room 215?
Room 215, yeah.
Yeah. That, because the first playthrough of it, I quite enjoyed it, even though it's not the greatest game. It is a little bit boring, and a lot of it is just reading a book, essentially, and then you sort of answer a few questions. But like a fucking idiot, I wanted to see if like it changed if you did different things. So I played through it a full second time, and nothing changes. Nothing changes
No.
at all. So that made me, because it's a good like 4 or 5 hour game as well, isn't it? You can't do it quickly because you have to go and talk to people and listen to what they say and figure stuff out. And I was looking for differences in how I could do it differently. And it's quite a clever game. Like there's one bit I think we have to close the lid of the DS and it like prints something and stuff. It is a good, fun, make the most of the gimmick of the DS game. And if I'd never played it, yeah, I'd probably enjoy playing through it. But yeah, the second playthrough was painful. So then I was on holiday as well. I was in Mexico, wasting away my holiday in Mexico, playing that shit for a second time, and then realizing that I'd just wasted 5 hours because nothing was different when I got to the end. So that would probably be up there. But yeah, Animal Crossing, and the fact that I nearly bought it again is just proof that I need my head looking at, I think, because I know what it's like and I know what it's going to do to me, and I'm still tempted to buy it and play it again.
I think the only other one that I could probably say would be Assassin's Creed Odyssey.
No, all the Assassin's Creeds for me, apart from Black Flag. I like Black Flag.
I liked one initially. I had to play two and then go back to play one because I started playing it thinking it was going to be this great historical adventure, and then I'm some fucker getting plugged into a machine after the first 5 minutes of gameplay, and I'm like, what is this? This isn't explained in the box on the cover. It's just you're an assassin. That's what I'm expecting from this game. Played 2, played 3, played all of those through to Black Flag. So didn't play 3, sorry. Played all the 2, 2.5, 2.6, 2.7, whatever. Did not play 3 because I saw that it was mostly about throwing tea into a harbour and watching people signing the Declaration of Independence, and thought that's not for me. Played 4, loved 4, and then sort of missed a load in between that. Played Odyssey because I was like, I love Greek history, I love Greek mythology, this is going to be fun. I finished the game and again came to the realization that I hadn't had fun for any of it.
Yeah, that was my experience with all of them apart from Black Flag, and I haven't played Black Flag that much, but I enjoyed piloting the ship and stuff. But yeah, I think I got I can't remember which one it was. I got it free with my Xbox. Which one was it? Xbox One, I think. I bought a second Xbox One because my first one was on its way out, and it came free with that. Literally, that cupboard behind me there, it's still in there in the cellophane, and that's what, 7 or 8 years ago, maybe longer now. And I've never played. I can't remember which one it was. It might be the Aztec one, but it's just never been out the cellophane. I'm hoping one day it becomes some sort of collector's item and it's worth a load of money, but I'm not holding my breath. Anyway, Trevor also asked, for both of us this time, is there any gameplay session that really sticks with you? So, like, that you still talk about now with friends or solo or anything like that. I mean, to say we were really good mates at college and stuff, we never really played that many games together back then, did we? Because we didn't live near each other. And the one time we could have done...
To be honest with you, that's the one that I was going to mention. The one that sticks in my head is the one that never happened.
Have we told this story before?
I don't think we have. Not on here, anyway.
So we planned to have a game night, didn't we? Was it a weekend? It was a Saturday, I think, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And we planned to all come round to my house. There was going to be you, me, your partner at the time, and our good friend, who I won't name because of what he got up to during the events of this night. I don't want to slander him on air. But one of our other friends came with us, and we met up in town, didn't we, rather than you guys just coming to my house, because the buses to mine were every like hour and a half or something, so it made sense to all meet up in town, get something to eat, and then go back. And you'd brought your GameCube because I didn't have one at the time, and we were going to play, was it Code Veronica?
Resident Evil 0.
Zero, that was it. Yeah, we were going to play Zero, weren't we? And we got this whole night planned out. The friend who we won't name had brought some tapes of him wrestling, and we were going to watch them, and we were going to just have a good night, get some food in, play games, watch films, all that kind of good stuff you do when you've no responsibilities back then. I had my own little part of the house, so we didn't have to worry about getting in the way or anything like that. So it was going to be a really good night. And then on the bus home from town, we bumped into a lad called Magic Chris that we went to college with, that was at best an associate. Like, we weren't particularly friends with him, really, none of us were. And he's like, oh, I'm having a house party tonight, you should come. But he's starting like now, as soon as I get home. And you and me were very much of the opinion that we shouldn't go to this house party, I think. We were like, oh, we could do, to be polite.
And we could do, but fuck Magic Chris, I want to play Resident Evil 0.
And then your other half was like, oh, let's go. And then our friend, who we won't name, was also up for going, weren't they? So we're like, oh, we'll just go for like an hour to be polite, have a drink, and then come back to mine, carry on the fun. We got there, and his parents were away, so it was just a complete open house, wasn't it? There was already people there without him being there, which I thought was weird to start off with.
Yeah.
And you were like sat on this, I remember very vividly in my head, coming into the front room, and you were just sat on the sofa, looking as miserable as I've ever seen you look, hugging your backpack that had the GameCube in it because you didn't want anyone to steal it or damage it. So you just sat there like hugging this backpack. And I was like to Chris, is there anywhere you can put it? Because it's got quite a lot of value in it. We don't want it getting nicked or broken. And he's like, yeah, I've got a room upstairs. And then it was just like this battered wardrobe that was almost falling to bits. And he's like, put it in there, it'll be fine. And you reluctantly slid this bag inside this wardrobe. And I don't remember much else about the party itself. Like, I remember there was a girl there that I quite liked, and I was chatting with her, but the lad we were with also liked her, so we were both sort of in competition, and I think she just got bored of both of us and disappeared. I remember a brick coming through the front window.
Yeah.
And smashing a lamp, and somebody being more bothered about the lamp than the fact there was now a hole in the window. And then I remember leaving. I distinctly remember leaving because you went and got your backpack, and then our friend had got a bottle of beer, but no bottle opener, so decided to open it on the gatepost, and it just shattered. So he was drinking like shards of glass in this open. And I mean, this wasn't early evening, was it? This was like 1 in the morning by this point.
Yeah.
Like, we'd been there all day.
The 5 hours between getting there and leaving, I remember all about.
So no gameplay went on in those hours. And then we left. It turns out the lad who we're not naming for this very specific reason had got off with Magic Chris's sister, who we also didn't know at the time was like 12 or something. And we found this out after it had happened. So no blame on him to an extent. But yeah, that was a bit of a surprise. And then, I mean, I live a good, a mile and a half maybe away from where Chris lives. And not on like a path or anything. Like, we are very rural. So between his house and my house, there is nothing. There's like country lanes, no lights, very little space to walk on these country lanes with high hedges on either side. And we couldn't get home. All the buses had gone. We weren't old enough to have money for taxis. We didn't have anyone to ring and come and pick us up because I think my parents were away as well. I think that's the reason we were going to mine anyway. So we walked. at like 1 a.m. through fields and sludge and pitch blackness. And this was before phones had torches. So we
Yeah.
were literally in the pitch black, weren't we, apart from the moonlight? And I remember my shoe coming off in some incredibly
mud.
deep mud, yeah, and then having to scavenge around to try, because I wasn't leaving my shoe out there and walking home with like barefoot. I think we got
I
in
think
about...
the worst. I think the worst bit about it is the fields had only just been ploughed, so
Yeah.
we were literally and sort of semi just had been rained on like a week previously, so it was just upturned soil that we were slogging our ways through.
And the options were do that or walk on the road and potentially get mown down by a car because it's a country lane
Yeah,
with no lights. And I think we got back to mine about 2, maybe,
yeah.
in the morning. And you were still adamant we were going to play Resident Evil, so we got all the console set up. And I think about 3 o'clock we turned it on, and I think I saw the opening sequence and fell asleep. And then I think we did play it for like an hour, maybe 2 in the morning after we'd all woke up. But I just remember you seething for a good month afterwards because this whole day we'd planned had just been ruined. So not technically a gameplay incident, but definitely a memory linked to gaming.
Yes, definitely. Yeah.
Because, yeah, we've not played that much together until recently, have we? Just never... We were always at parties and stuff together, but there was never a console or anything to play on. And we were obviously at college all the time, but because we lived so far apart from each other, seeing each other was usually in a group. And you can't just go and sit and play on a console when you're in a group of friends drinking and doing other stuff, so...
Yeah, the only other one that comes to mind is not a gaming session that we were part of, and that was our mutual friend that shall not be named, beating the shit out of a stall owner's son
yeah.
for the joy of... Bear in mind, sorry, I want to clarify that in Street Fighter, not physically,
for
to
a
get
hefty
a free
discount.
Yeah.
And the other one was at your other half's party, where you weren't there at this point, but where one of the people we went to college with came out of the closet in a spectacular way while we were playing Pro Evo in the summer house and just admitted to doing certain things that we didn't know he was doing, and then just turned to the rest of us and went, "Oh, have none of you lot done any of that?" And we're like, no, we've never really had an interest in doing any of that. And then all of us, apart from the person he was playing at Pro Evo, proceeded to leave the summer house. And the lad that was playing him couldn't because he was halfway through a game. So they just had to sit there in awkward silence for like another 20 minutes until he finished playing. So that was one. I mean, I've got a few with my old mates that I used to play with. One of the Patreons, actually, Harry Flynn, who's asked a question we will hopefully get to. Me, him, and another one of our friends used to play a lot of horror games and stuff, so like Resident Evil and all that kind of thing. And we were playing Silent Hill. I might have mentioned this already as to why he's got the name Harry Flynn. We were playing Silent Hill 4, The Room. I don't know if you've ever played that one.
Yes.
And there's like this guy, isn't there, that just follows you around and you just see him in the distance with like long, dirty hair and like a trench coat on and stuff. And we were in one of the levels and he appeared and it looked like he was going to start chasing us. And my mate who's the patron, who was in control of the game because he used to pass the pad round every so often, got incredibly flustered and just shouted out at the top of his voice, "It's Harry Flynn." And no one knows where that came from because that's not his fucking name in the game. It's nothing like his name in the game. But it really stuck, and that's what he became known as whenever we played that game from then on. So that sticks in my mind. And the other one is Jack and Jordan, who are obviously linked to the podcast. We do some videos with Jack, and Jordan does the pack openings and stuff. Me and them two had a Halloween night where we played Resident Evil 7, I think it is. The
rural America.
Like the bayou type house thing. We decided we were going to play that, watch a film, get some food, drink, all that kind of thing for Halloween. It was on Halloween night. We were set up in my garage, which was a bit creepy at the time because it was completely unfurnished, barring a sofa and a TV that I'd dumped in there for us to sit and play in. And 2 bits of it really stand out. One similar to the Harry Flynn incident. So the first one was, there's a bit in the game where you sort of put a VHS tape in to watch what's happened. And these 2 people are talking in front of the camera and then they sort of start walking away. And we were just sat there and they're like getting further and further away and then they just disappear. And we're sat there like a good 5 minutes, I think we must have sat there, and we're like, is it glitched or are they going to come back or what are we waiting for to happen? And then Jordan, who was controlling it at the time, was like, "Oh, I can follow him," and realised that actually we were in control of something, and it wasn't just a cutscene. So we sat there for like 5 minutes waiting for something to happen, and we were just meant to walk into the building with him. So that is a memorable one. And the other one from that is when those like tar monster things start crawling out the walls to attack you. Jack was, I don't think Jack was controlling it. I think I was. And I was trying to switch weapons because you've got a weapon that's more effective against them, haven't you? But it's like there's a weird button combination, isn't there, to switch to that weapon and then start shooting and stuff. And we were playing on PS5 or PS4, I think. And I was like, I have to switch weapons, getting really panicked. And Jack, just in a complete panic, went, press L2 and 6. I'm like, what the f is 6? Like, there's not a button for 6 on the. He's like, I'm in triangle. I'm like, I was like, where did L2 and 6 come from? And then there's a little bit later where the girl like gets dragged into a wall, doesn't she, and down some stairs. And it just happened really quickly, and it was a bit of a jump scare. And Jack just went, "Oh, he's pinched her," for some reason. I don't know why, because it's not even that funny. That creased me up, and I was like rolling around on the floor. I couldn't breathe. So there's some of my favourite gaming memories of playing stuff within a group. So hopefully that answered your questions, Trevor. So the Sweaty Llama's posed one. Very similar, but different. What moment from a video game has stuck with you? So rather than the moment of playing it with your friends, what moment in a game has really resonated and sort of stuck with you over the years? I'm struggling to think of one, to be honest. I don't get that emotionally attached in games. I know you've had ones recently with Expedition.
Yeah, Expedition 33 genuinely stuck with me a lot longer than a lot of games have. And this is going to be a bit veering into spoiler territory, really. But it's only for the first chapter of the game, really. So the game's broken up into 3 chapters. At the end of each chapter, you sort of get a resolution to that part of the plot, and then you move on. Partway through the first chapter, you go to basically the monolith, which is the thing that changes number every year, and the people that are that age that is depicted on the monolith, they get erased from existence, basically. You still remember that they exist or existed, but they are just wiped off the face of the planet. You get onto the beach at the base of the monolith, and it is borderline World War One, beaches of Normandy bloodbath, in where a lot of your surrounding characters that you've had sort of little asides with and picked up, had conversations with prior to your departure, are just killed off like really quickly. And you get off the beach, you wake up a bit later on, and you're basically set out to find the rest of your team, the surviving members of Expedition 33. And you walk into a cave as the main character, and you sit down, and there's just bodies of previous expedition members piled up in sort of bloody heaps. And similar to sort of Final Fantasy and other games where you can conjure weapons, the main character sort of sits down and sits just staring, and it is clearly shell shock and PTSD that's currently driving him at that point. And he conjures a gun, and everything up until that point has been swords and proper high fantasy levels of weaponry. And he conjures a gun and points it at his own head, and you just know he's going to end his life until another character appears and snaps him out of it and stuff like that. And it's that bit of a depiction of PTSD, trauma, suicidal thoughts that's quite striking. And then at the end of the first chapter, you get all this way through, you've built up your 4 core members of your team, and you get to the end of the cave that's at the end of the level, and your main character is killed. And not in a, oh, he's been run through with a sword, don't worry, he'll walk that off in a minute, or someone will get him to a healer. He is outright killed in front of the other main character that you've been with most of the time. And I was, at the start of the second chapter, I was just sat there like, what the fuck? That is the first gut punch I have felt in a game in a good long while, because your main character is what you are supposed to get used to. They are
Yeah.
supposed to be the avatar through which you experience this world, and it's just taken out from under you completely. I have never known a game kill off the main protagonist in the first chapter. I've known them do it at the end. So at the end
Yeah.
of things like, spoiler alert for sort of Modern Warfare 2, where the entire squad is just slaughtered and you get Ghost gets killed off, and that's a bit of a shock, and the character that you're inhabiting at that point gets shot and then set on fire. John Marston in Red Dead doesn't survive the end of the game. I've known games do that because it's sort of, there's a level of finality to that particular story, but never have I had such a fucking rug pull as that happen, and that has stuck with me ever since.
Yeah, see, I haven't got many games where they've had that lasting effect on me when I finished them. I think Resi 4 did, but it was more I've finished it and I can't play it anymore rather than anything that happened in the
Yeah,
game as such. It's just, I get that when I get to the end of games and I know that I'm not going to play them anymore. I get that sort of like, same as like when you get to the end of a really good book and you're like, oh, I want more of it. And I feel like I've been absorbed in this world for so long and now I'm just out of it and it doesn't exist to me anymore and I can't go back there. I get that a lot. I got that with like Fallout 3 and Resi 4 is a big one for that, I think, because you get to the end of it. And even though you don't really want to be back in that world anymore, you sort of like, oh,
yeah,
it's done now and it's gone. And I've had that a few times with certain games, but none particularly that have got me like that, like the feeling side of it. One that does stick out for me that sticks with me all the time is for different reasons, is for like joyous reasons, is the end of Saints Row the Third when you get the really cool like hover plane thing and you have to decide whether you want to go and take out the main bad guy or rescue the girl, and it's completely your choice as to how you finish the mission. And I think you do loop around and do the other thing eventually, but at the time you don't know that, so you're just
yeah,
thinking the whole game's built up to this, and holding out for a hero's playing the whole way through the mission, and you have to go in and kill loads of people and steal that plane and fly up and that really sticks with me because it's just such a fun end mission to a great game anyway, that I always think of that as an example of like what an end mission should be. It's the culmination of everything you've done in that game. You get a really hard decision to make in it, but they play it off in sort of a fun way rather than a really tragic way. And you just get that music, just the fact that song's playing and somebody went, let's license this music because it just fits this scenario so well, I think is just a genius stroke. So that one always sticks with me for a positive reason rather than a negative one. I think the first time I played Resi 2, the opening bit where the car crashes and you jump out and you're walking through the fire, and I can remember that bit by bit, piece by piece, that whole until you get to the police station, walking through the bus, going into that guy's shop, walking down the back alley, and there being one zombie in front of that dumpster that you can stab to death if you're good enough. And that all sticks with me right up until the police station. And I do remember most of the rest of the game, but it's definitely those first moments. Wow, what is this? Do you know what I mean? I'd
yeah.
never played Resi 1. Resi 2 was my entry point into the series, and that really does stick with me. So, yeah, hopefully that answers the question for you. You'll be glad to know Anonymous has been back with some more questions after their first outing. Again, only a few words to each question, so we'll blow through them quickly. The first one, much along the same lines as the ones they asked previously, Pauline or Rosalina?
Rosalina.
Yeah,
It's the
I'm thinking.
emo fringe. It's the slight bleach blonde emo fringe that she's got over one eye. I am still an emo boy at heart.
For me, I think it's that Pauline would just be too busy for you. She's a mayor. She's riding around on the back of monkeys. I just don't think she'd have the time for you. Whereas Rosalina's not got anything to do, really. She just sat in the observatory.
Yeah, and I mean, as we previously discussed, is if Mario's supposed to be human and we're human as well, and Rosalina looks very different to Mario, what the
Hmm.
is she? And why is she
And,
so much taller?
and what is Pauline? Because in Odyssey, she's a proper human shape.
Sorry,
And in
I meant Pauline, not
Pauline.
Rosalina. I meant Pauline.
Rosalina is more humanly
Yeah,
proportioned than Mario, though. But yeah, Pauline is humanly proportioned in Odyssey, but then in Bonanza, she's like Mario type size again.
yeah.
So I really don't know what's going on with her, unless there's more than one, and we're meant to. It's just like Kenny in South
Multiverse.
Park. There's just multiple Paulines that exist through space and time. He's got a second, or she. It could be a she. I don't know. Chun-Li or Sonya Blaze. I think we're going to split on this one.
I'm going to say Chun-Li.
I'm going to say Sonya.
Uh,
I have my reasons. As much as Chun-Li's thighs are ridiculous,
I think that's the thing.
and that is tempting me in, I've always been more Mortal Kombat than Street Fighter. I do
Fair.
like Sonya, and Jennifer Carpenter, who plays Debs in Dexter,
Yeah,
voiced her in the cartoon, and I think
fair.
that's tipped me that way. So there you go, Anonymous. Thank you for your seedy, disgusting questions once again. I feel like we've answered them in the least seedy and disgusting way possible. Moving on.
We're going to get to a point where it's like William Birkin or Albert Wesker.
Yeah. I'm going Wesker. I'd go Wesker over Pauline, I think, to be fair. So
It's the hair, isn't it?
it's the hand through the hair movement he does in that opening video. It's always won me over that. Even when he was an absolute bastard, I'm like, I still quite like Wesker.
Well,
Over Barry. Barry's just a fucking idiot. Like, what?
why are you getting bribed by this man? Just fucking shoot him. You got the most powerful gun in the game.
Right, we just had a question come in, actually, from DJ Slope, from Slope's Game Room. He's literally just messaged me a question. Did an episode with him recently for the board game channel, which we've put out on our video game channel. If you want to go and listen to that, one of the nicest people you'll ever meet, and a bit of a YouTube legend. I aspire to have videos with even a quarter of much detail as his has in, because we just wing it when we do podcasts and videos and stuff, and the effort he puts into those videos is phenomenal. Go and check him out. Slope's Game Room on YouTube. But he said, give me your best platformer on handheld that isn't Sonic or Mario.
Oh.
Now, when he says handheld, I've gone retro. I've gone Game Gear, Game Boy. But I suppose it encompasses DS and all that kind of thing, if you wanted to go DS, PSP, etc.
I think mine are not. It's not the most well crafted game in the world, but I think the original Gravity Rush on the PS Vita was a fantastic platformer for its time, and at the time it was released, on something so small, because a lot of platformers and games on handhelds are limited by the hardware, like incredibly limited. They're not as comfortable to hold. The controls are incredibly, particularly if it's the stuff like the DS, they're really square and they hurt your hands after a while. The Vita's design was borderline perfect, but the screens are always smaller. You can't get the depth or the perspective that you necessarily want all the time. But the gameplay in it and the depth of the gameplay and the changing of gravity and the attacks and stuff like that, and even the length of the story is quite long for something that is on a handheld. So I think that, while not being a perfect platformer, I think of its generation, and I appreciate they've re-released it on the PS4 and the PS5, and they did the sequel. But I think the original itself on the PS Vita is an absolute masterwork.
See, I've got loads that I can draw from because Game Gear was my main console for so long. So, like Castle of Illusion, Mickey Mouse, love that game. Difficult as balls on Game Gear, but still love it. There's a couple of Donald Duck ones. The Lucky Dime Caper, in particular, I played so much. Not particularly a good platformer, but it was the IP carried it, and the look and the charm of it carried it. Kirby would be an obvious one for me. I love the Game Boy Kirby games and the DS Kirby games, to be fair. Even though they're stupidly easy and there's no challenge in them whatsoever, I'd like them. But if I'm going particularly obscure, rather than picking something a bit more mainstream, I'd go Turtles: Fall of the Foot Clan for Game Boy. And the reason I go that, and it's not a particularly good platformer, it's very much like the NES one in that it's a bit janky and quite difficult and unforgiving. It's the first handheld game I ever played. So I had Commodore 64 at the time, and one of my mum's friends came round and he'd brought, well, I think he was a hairdresser actually. He used to come around and do my mum's hair like once a month and stuff. He'd brought, which I realise now sounds really seedy, but it wasn't like that. It was literally he just came around and cut her hair. He brought his son's Game Boy, and that was the game that was in it. And I played it to death while he was there. I literally didn't want him to leave because I wanted to keep playing it. I played it for hours. And it was my first experience of a handheld platformer game that looked like this as well, because as much as it doesn't look anything special now, you hold that against a Commodore 64 game and it looks fucking amazing. So for me, that has such a nostalgic place in my heart that I would probably give it to that. But if we're going in terms of just quality, I'd go Kirby or I'd go Castle of Illusion probably, because I played Castle of Illusion loads and it's still a pretty good game now.
That's fair. I think the other ones that spring to mind, another one is another PS Vita game, and that was Tearaway.
Yeah.
That was so well designed, and the aesthetic and the thought they put into how you could manipulate, because it's a bit Little Big Planety
Yeah.
in the sort of visual style, but the fact that everything was made out of paper crafts and you had to use your fingers on the touchpad in a certain way on the back of the game, on the back of the console, sorry, you could like push your fingers through the scenery, or you could rip the scenery using the touchpad. It was just so well crafted, no pun intended. But yeah, that really stuck with me as a really good platformer. But the first one I ever played was on the Game Boy, and it was called Reservoir Rat.
I don't think I've ever played that.
And it was a really weird, old school style platformer where everything killed you in one hit. You were essentially a rat with a machine gun, and you had to, limited ammo, enemies everywhere, and you had to work your way through these, essentially a sewer level, because everything was interconnected pipes, and the pipes were your platforms, and you had to work out what order to do things in. So there was a locked door with a switch behind it, and you could pull the lever and it'd open another gate further up, but that'd release enemies.
Yeah.
And then there was a lever that could raise the water level, and did you raise the water level and then go up, try and go up and unlock that door again, but because you'd raised the water level, the platforming was more difficult. So it was, what did you want to do? It was probably an absolutely shit game, but I remember sinking hours into that because it was one hit dead. So having to restart again and again and again and again. And I don't think I ever finished the game, but I remember getting quite far through it.
One other one I will mention very quickly, which he'll be happy I have mentioned, actually, because he's just put a video out on the complete history of this game and a review of the new one that's very recently come out. But Shinobi for Game Gear is a brilliant platformer, and it's very competent, and you have all different Shinobis in different colours, and they all have different abilities. So one can throw bombs, one can crawl on ceilings, one's got a bigger jump. I think there's 4 or 5. That game always stuck with me for 2 reasons. One, because it's a very good game and I managed to finish it, which on Game Gear was no mean feat to finish a game, especially at that age. 2, and I want you to do a bit of Googling here, the cover of the game is fucking terrifying. Google Shinobi Game Gear. It used to haunt my dreams, that cover.
Oh, is that the one with the weird floating blue head?
The fucking green-blue lizard head thing, yeah.
Oh.
Tell me that isn't absolutely terrifying. I don't even know what... It's in the game, I think. It is one of the enemies in the game. It might even be the boss. It's horrible. It's got like a mustache on. It's got wires coming out of its head.
And the weird alien mech thing in the background as well. What the fuck has any of this got to do with ninjas?
I know, it's mad. It's such a mad cover for a game, but it's such a good game. It genuinely is. And I think it's completely different to the Mega Drive ones as well. So it's not like it was a botched together port. I think it was just a game built from the ground up. And I remember it not having too much screen crunch, it being very competent. If you died, it was your fault. You always felt like it wasn't particularly... Some of the enemies were placed a little cheaply, but you could get around them if you knew what to do. And one of them threw shurikens, one had bombs, one could climb up walls. I think one had a rope or something like that. They all played very different. And I think you had to unlock them. You had to rescue them in the early stages. And then once you'd rescued them, you could start using their abilities as well. And I just remember playing that absolutely loads and also being haunted by that cover. That one sticks with me. We've got a few more questions. We'll blast through a few and then we'll save one big poignant one for the end. So the next one is from Harry Flynn, the aforementioned Harry Flynn. And he has asked, what is your biggest gaming disappointment of the year so far? And what is your overall view of where gaming is heading?
I'll let you take this one first.
I haven't had that many disappointments. I haven't had that many this year, to be honest. We played a game on stream last week. I know if I was speaking for Aaron, we played a game called Discounty, which we were both really keen to play, and it just wasn't as good as we'd hoped. It wasn't a bad game by any stretch. We've played worse on there, that's for sure. But it wasn't a particularly terrible game. It wasn't what we were hoping it was going to be, and it was just a bit slow and plodding. And that was a disappointment for him, and sort of by extension for me, because I was really he was so enthusiastic about playing it. I was really looking forward to watching the stream, and then it just wasn't particularly good. So there was that. I can't think of much I've played this year where I've been like, oh, I'm really disappointed with this, and I thought it was going to be good. I've not had particularly high hopes for any games this year. I mean, sort of a little bit. The two Switch games that I currently own, Mario Kart World and Donkey Kong Bonanza, because Mario Kart World's, yeah, it's another Mario Kart game. It's fine. It's okay. But the open world thing, they seem to have put so much time into that for no reward whatsoever that's quite disappointing. And then Bonanza's just weird. I'm still not 100% sold on it, even though I've played it a lot more now. And it's losing out on gameplay time to like Undermine 2 and stuff that I've been playing way more recently. And when your AAA is losing out to a game that's in pre-release, that's essentially a roguelike that doesn't... There is a lot to it, but at the end of the day, it's the same thing over and over again. You go in, you throw your pickaxe at things, you try and get as far as you can. When your AAA is losing out to that, potentially there's something wrong, and maybe it's just me, and maybe I will get into it more, but that's been the two for me. The Switch 2 in general, like, it's a nice console, and I can see what it's capable of, but it's disappointed me a lot that it's come out with so little to offer out of the gates.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think my problem is that a lot of the games that I've had this year, I've put a lot of time into.
Yeah.
And I've not really diversified very much. So, Expedition 33, I played to death and I 100%ed that, completed it all the way through. Blueprints, I have played that again and again and again and again, and I'm not bored of playing it. I think I've probably gone as far as I can with
Not
it
on
now.
our playthrough,
because
though. Not on our
playthrough, but in my save file.
And I'm really looking forward to us playing it again, because even though we both finished it individually, it's a different experience playing through it in two-player, I think.
Yeah.
I genuinely think us two playing together, because I think of things that you don't, and conversely, you think of things that I don't, and we end up rationalizing it out between us and coming up with the better solution. And I think we've been far more efficient, I don't know about your single playthrough, as a team than I was on my own, for certain.
Yes, oh yeah, definitely. I because you've only got your own internal monologue to contend with, and you're always going to win in that scenario. You tend to just go with whatever feels right to you. But to your point, having that back and forth of, oh yeah, but what about if this is the case? Or, well, yeah, I appreciate your opinion, but have you thought about what if this is the room that we end up drawing? Or, we could redraw here because look, you've got this, that, and the other. The one thing that has disappointed me was Night Rain, Elden Ring. I don't own it, and I think I've got no intention of owning it.
Because it's the cost of a full price game, essentially.
It's the cost of a full price game to have an MMO in Elden Ring.
Which isn't what it's designed for.
It's not what it's designed for. The combat's not designed for it. I've heard some reviews where they're not particularly favourable with how it runs. The bosses just look kind of uninspired, and I was hoping for some proper DLC to it. But I think after the core game, I have just been disappointed with Elden Ring after that anyway. I think with how good the main game was, I think anything after that has just been a come down. And I've just not enjoyed either one of the DLCs, or just to look at and read reviews of and see long plays of. I've just thought it's not for me, and that's kind of made me a little bit sad, really.
So state of gaming at the minute, I just feel like it's stagnating a bit. I think we need something to kickstart it. We need a really good AAA. I think the state of indie games is fantastic at the minute, and I'm hoping that continues. There's been some brilliant. I mean, Hades 2 was this year, which I suppose is still technically it's not a AAA, is it? You wouldn't. It's somewhere in between the two now, with the first one doing so well. Undermine 2, which I've been playing quite a lot, fantastic. It's more of the same from the first one, essentially, but I'm loving it. That's exactly what I wanted from it. A bit more difficult than the first one, I think, unless I've just forgotten how to play it, but genuinely a good game. There's loads of indie stuff dropping that I'm like, I want to play. Stuff like The Altars coming out of nowhere and being a bit of a surprise. Would you class that as a AAA, or would it like a 2.5A? Because it's not quite the big blockbuster, your Skyrims, your that kind of thing, is it? But it is a big game. Outer Worlds 2 is on the way soon, isn't it? I think.
Yeah.
There's another big AAA there that I think will be decent. I never finished the first one, but probably give the second one a go because it's straight onto Game Pass as soon as it comes out. So yeah, I think it's good and bad, the gaming landscape at the minute.
Yeah, I mean, to your point about Outer Worlds, the perk system that they've got in there and stuff like there's one that's got called Bad Knees. So if you spend a lot of your time crouching, when you go to stand up, your knees pop, and everyone in the vicinity hears you, immediately knows where you are, and turns to shoot at you. There's one called Kleptomaniac, where if you steal too much, you run the risk of, if you look at an object, you will steal it. And if there are people around you, you obviously piss them off. They start a gunfight. There's one called Staring at the Sun or something like that, where if you look at the sun for too long in game, it gives you cataracts. So your game, the visuals of the game just goes that really horrible, blurry, all the colours sort of spikes, and you get stuff like that. So I think that is going to be really good, and it's by the people that did Fallout Vegas, so I think that's going to be an absolute belter.
I think the first one is what Fallout 4 should have been.
Yes. Yeah.
Basically, so more of the same of that, and I'm happy. I would have loved to have finished the first one, but it was one of those where I didn't play it for about a week, and then I just couldn't remember what I was doing or where I had to go, and I just didn't get back into it, and it's been too long. There's good stuff coming. High on Life 2, which we talked about in our latest episode, that's coming out soon. There's a lot of stuff to look forward to, just potentially not too much AAA stuff on the horizon that is exciting me.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, even some of the stuff we have done short plays of for YouTube, the one where you're dragon warriors, basically.
Oh, Hero of Mount Dragon, yeah.
Hero of Mount Dragon, again, really well crafted games. I mean, Jesus Christ, I've railed against the way modern gaming is going in quite a few episodes of our podcast. And it's at a point where I'm no longer angry at it. I'm just bored of it now. I mean, even Nintendo, my one thing that I could rely on in gaming to do the right thing, the Switch 2.
Yeah.
Just the marketing, what they did to sell it, the fucking price hike on it, the fact that the games, you don't even own them anymore. You can't own a physical cartridge of a game. And if Nintendo decides they want to brick your console and ban you from playing games, they're going to do it. And it's just so depressing that this is the way we have got to in a medium that I used to feel the same way about movies. Movies got to a point where it was the same old shit churned out again and again and again. DVDs went up in price. There was obviously a massive hike in piracy and things like that. So they were clamping down on how you watched films, how you owned films, those sorts of things. And gaming's gone very much the same way. The industry itself is pretty fucking toxic for anyone that works in it that isn't the head of a major corporation. No one has, or an indie dev. No one's got job security anymore. And with gaming, you used to be in a position of, if you were a game developer, you were pretty much set for life, because the companies used to look after you, they paid you a decent wage, and it just doesn't seem to be the case. It's all about profit now. And games that only made 250 million profit aren't considered profitable games anymore, and any potential sequel just gets canned or projects get spun up and you think, oh wow, this actually genuinely looks interesting, and they go, no, sorry, we can't do that. It's a horror game. Nobody likes horror games. We'll just release another fucking Assassin's Creed again. And it's like, do something. You can't just watch the indie industry do all this innovation. And the thing that really galls me about it is the indie developers come out with really good, solid ideas. Expedition 33 being a prime example of, we were told for decades that no one wanted old school Final Fantasy games anymore. No one wanted turn-based strategy and things like that, that essentially Pokemon have just monetized the shit out of anyways, proving them wrong. And we've done this awful live mixed combat system in every Final Fantasy, and they're all sort of woke and sort of, I don't know, just twee. None of it wants to be it's their version of what they think edgy is, and it's all twee and really forced and horrible and naff. And then Expedition 33 goes ahead and does this and goes, ta-da! We did this with 33 developers, fuckers. And you know Square Enix next year will do something pretty much turn-based with a dodge mechanic and a counter mechanic in it, because I don't think the developers trademarked the concept like Batman didn't trademark the concept of the counter combat. And we're going to end up with like 10 years of them trying to outdo what Expedition 33 did. Rather than trying to innovate, they try and replicate and duplicate, and that's when it gets boring, and that's the position we're in.
Right, well, I said it on the last time we did one of these, and I'll say it again. You're bringing the mood down. It's meant to be a party episode, meant to be celebrating our second year belatedly. You've brought the mood down with that one. So what we're going to do is we're going to try and bounce it back with this last question. We did have a few other questions, but we've not got time to get to them, so we'll save them for the next one. So the final question comes from Jordan, one of our friends on the channel, our pack-ripping friend, the master of the sleeves. He has asked, the favourite thing that has happened because you started the podcast, so something that wouldn't have happened if we hadn't have started doing this.
Oh.
For me, I think it is genuinely one of the things is being able to just sit and talk to you most weeks. Because we didn't have that for like 10 years after we left college, did we? We'd catch up sporadically and that was it. But it's genuinely nice to be able to talk to you every week. And I genuinely look forward to and treasure the days when we sit down and play games together. They're so much fun. They fly by in the blink of an eye. And we always say it's gone too quick and we didn't do everything we needed to do. But I just love those days. It's just so nice to still have that friendship after all these years and actually get to do something with it rather than it just being once a year we'll go out for a drink or something. We have that all the time.
Yeah, I think the thing I am most happy about is the fact that everything that has spun off from it. I think that the recording sessions are great every week, every other week
Sort
now.
of.
But being able to relive gaming moments with you from each other's perspective as well,
Yeah.
because you don't, in normal conversation about gaming, you won't go into the games that we've gone into.
Yeah.
You only tend to discuss the stuff that's live and in the moment of, oh, have you played this game recently? We would never have sat down and gone, have you played Spyro the Dragon recently? Yeah. Or have you played Maniac Mansion or anything like that? We wouldn't have done it. So, one, expanding both of our gaming horizons and getting the chance to share it and talk it through, and everything else that we've done. So the gaming sessions, to your point, the pack openings that have spun off from this, the times at conventions, the times going to random little quirky shops because of either the pack opening or the gaming stuff. Again, we would never have done this if it hadn't been for the podcast.
Yeah, the chances of us getting lost in Sheffield looking for Patriot games because we can't get into a retro video games market for another hour because we didn't book tickets would never have happened, would it? And that was an adventure that I enjoyed that day. It was fucking warm that day, but I really
Too warm.
enjoyed wandering around Sheffield with you and just catching up. The other, like you say, going to conventions, I really want to do more of that and try and get us there as a group as well, rather than it just being a couple of us all the time. The gameplay sessions with you, with Aaron, with Jack, the pack openings with Jordan, just the odd person coming up to us and saying, I really enjoyed that episode. Like, I never expected that. That's a really nice thing to happen that wouldn't have happened otherwise. I mean, I wrote for a website for 10 years before this, and no one ever came to me and said I really enjoyed anything that you'd written. So either I'm a shit writer or it's just this is reaching people a bit more. But it's stuff like that, and like you say, the stuff that spun off from it, the pack openings, Aaron playing on Twitch. I met Aaron through work, and we were sort of we talked at Christmas parties and stuff. We didn't work directly together. We chatted at a Christmas party. We talked about going to the Pokemon shop together, which probably potentially never would have happened. And then I needed to build a PC because we got given that IASA game that bricked my laptop and wouldn't play properly. So I needed to build a PC, and I knew he knew how to do it. So I asked him to come round and help me build it. And literally, we'd met each other once when he came round and helped me. And for 8 hours, we built this fucking PC together. And we just got on instantly. And it was one of those things where it was like it was meant to be. And then I just happened to mention we were getting all these keys and we couldn't play them quick enough. And he used to stream. And all that came from that organically. And it's stuff like that. I think you're right. And speaking of, he's streaming in 4 minutes. So we're going to have to wrap this up because I need to go and mod for it. But yeah, all stuff like that. The Twitch stream coming off it has done so well. The YouTube channel, it's causing me so much work. I mean, the board game podcast, I would never have done that if we hadn't have done this first. Yeah. Interviewing DJ Slope, one of, like, hero's a strong word, but I've watched him on YouTube for years and years. I never in a million years thought I'd get to have a conversation with him, much less like 3 hours that we actually did talk. And we have talked since as well. It's just stuff like that you can't account for. When we sat down to record Gold, was it Gold and Silver, the first episode? And the fucking clock was ticking in the background of my recording, and you could hear the radiator clicking. And I edited that, and I thought, are we even doing this right? Is this even worth listening to? And then the amount of people in the preceding week that said, oh, I really enjoyed it, are you going to do more? Just stuff like that I never expected to happen, and it's lovely, and we really appreciate all the support. Getting Patreons. Who would ever think that people would pay money for what we do and to support us? It's just mad. I can't believe it, and I'm so thankful to you and them and everyone else. And this sounds like the end, like we're coming to, and we're going to go, right, we're not doing it anymore. But no, it isn't. We're still going. We might not release as often as we do, and we might not put as much Patreon content out, but I feel like we're putting more out in other areas now. The YouTube channel's getting more stuff on it. Patreon, we're trying to do more videos. Aaron's doing the streaming, which you can always go and watch and enjoy. I'm getting involved in that. If we can ever get you a laptop that doesn't look like it's going to set on fire, we can get you involved in that as well. It's just, it's all of it. It's been all of it, but there's been so many good memories, and hopefully here's to another at least 2 more years before we get bored.
Absolutely. And the people that we've met as well. So the likes of your hero who did the Facebook game that we interviewed.
Oh, yeah.
Christ, nearly 18 months ago now. Trevor, yeah. Everybody that we've met who are either in gaming design in some way or have been at conventions who've just been lovely to talk to. Again, hats off to everybody that we have met along the way. And again, sounds a bit mawkish and a bit...
Yeah.
We're going to be buried in the morning, but...
Alan and Julia, who kindly let us stay in their house when we went to the gaming convention, and we played some board games with them. There's so many people that we wouldn't even know. Like, I met Alan and Julia as part of the board gaming thing, which wouldn't have happened if this hadn't have happened. And I've made so many friends. All the guys on the Bucket List Board Gamers podcast, I wouldn't know them if I hadn't done this, probably. A couple of them maybe because I was writing for Zatu, but I certainly wouldn't know them as well as I do now. We wouldn't have had meetups and gameplays and all this kind of thing. So many doors have opened just from us sitting down and going, oh, let's talk about Pokemon Gold and Silver tonight and see how it goes. So yeah, I'm so thankful, but we are going to have to wrap it up here. Thank you to you guys, our Patreons who are listening. I'm not going to name you because you're listening to this on Patreon, I expect. So thank you to you guys. You know you are. And if you're listening to this on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or whatever, a month or whatever after it's been released, if you want to support us on Patreon, patreon.com/bucketlistgamers, you can head over there, support us any tier. We really appreciate it. And yeah, I think we will leave it there. So thank you, Eddie, for answering all the questions. Thank you to the people that submitted the questions. We will definitely do another one of these at some point. But until next time, I will say Thank you for listening. That's goodbye from me.
That's a thank you and a goodbye from me.